Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 12, Episode number 30. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us for this Friday show. Steelers Nation, and a very happy October to Steelers Nation as well. Dave, how you doing?
Boy, you said October in Las Vegas, baby. I'm going to get you out here sooner or later, Alex, and you're probably not. I'm going to make you come out here in the month of October too, and you'll probably won't want to leave when that happens. Look, you're big Phoenix, even if you got close out here in Phoenix or Arizona area, I don't think you would regret it. So, but
what's special about Vegas in October?
Man, just the weather's absolutely fantastic. It already is obviously low humidity any time of the year, and then you throw in some crisp mornings, and then it gets up to about 75, 80 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. You just can't beat it. You just can't beat it at all.
Dave Bryan continues to be the best real estate salesman in Vegas, despite no sales, but it sounds good.
I got me a Wolfpack hat on the way too.
Oh my God! No Nevada talk. I'm cutting off for an episode. All right, Dave, let's talk about Pittsburgh. Something we should start off with, more of a minor note since the guy's no longer with the team. But Jamir Jones, who was waived, I believe it was on Monday, Tuesday. I'm guessing the intent for Pittsburgh was to get him back to the practice squad, do a little edge swap between him and Derek Tuska. That will not happen. Jamir Jones has been claimed by the LA Rams, and so he's going to join the Rams and obviously no longer member of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and we went into training camp and obviously the preseason talking about both Jamir Jones and Quincy Roche and which one of those two was most likely to make the roster, and special teams contributions versus pass rush contributions, yada yada. Fast forward, they obviously Jamir Jones was the choice. Roche was waived, probably with the hope that they get him to the practice squad. That didn't happen. Got him claimed off waivers by the Giants, and then now fast forward 3 weeks into the season here, you essentially have Derek Tuska overtaking Jamir Jones. It was obvious that they were probably hoping that Jamir would clear waivers and get him back to the practice squad, but that did not happen either. And I had me a nice little post draft getting ready here yesterday for them to announce signing to the practice squad to take that open spot, and that has not happened yet. And it, here we are Friday, so I kind of doubt it will at this point. Probably on Monday is when the next time we will find out who will be the latest or newest addition to the practice report. Now, obviously, they have Taco Charlton now on the practice squad. They also have the other outside linebacker on the practice squad as well too. So they're probably fine there, but you had to think that they were probably hoping to get Jamir Jones back to the practice squad, and now he's with the Rams.
Yeah, but ideally, team gets healthier at outside linebacker, and it becomes less of an issue. Who's your number 4 outside linebacker? That should be Derek Tuska, and that's a good segue into the injury report there and a status update on the Steelers outside linebackers. Looking good for T.J. Watt. He was a full participant in Thursday's practice, so barring any sort of setback, he should be good for Sunday's game against the Packers and right in the nick of time. Alex Highsmith continues to be limited, so we'll kind of have to wait and see what the Friday report brings. Elsewhere, Big Ben was practicing in full. So was wide receiver Deontay Johnson, so that's a really good sign for him. Looks like he's going to be able to play this weekend. Chase Claypool, though, did show up on the injury report, limited with a hamstring. Juju Smith-Schuster was limited after not practicing on Wednesday, so he should be good. Juju for the Green Bay game, and elsewhere not practicing included Carlos Davis with the knee, Chukwuma Okorafor in concussion protocol, and Rashad Coward with an ankle. So it doesn't look like any 3 of those guys will get back for the Packers game. Maybe Okorafor if he clears protocol late in the week.
Yeah, you kind of by Thursday with players in concussion protocol. Obviously, that can change on Friday, but you would think and hope that he would have been at least limited on Thursday, and that obviously isn't the case there. So, and we'll see obviously what happens with Zach Banner and see if he gets activated to the 53-man roster on Saturday there. I guess that could go either way. I wasn't counting on it going that way. I was kind of counting on him staying on, probably staying on IR through the weekend here. Maybe he doesn't need the ramp up time that maybe I think that he does need. But the way Mike Tomlin did talk about Joe Haeg this week with Banner working his way back, I don't have a good read of how that might go. I think that it might be Haeg. But obviously that can change. I think Saturday will tell us a lot when it comes to whether or not Zach Banner is officially pulled off, put back on the 53-man roster. The thing is if you do that, you obviously got to make room for him, right? So, right. Which way do you go? Who comes off the roster when Zach Banner goes on it?
Right, good question. I'm not sure who that would be at this point, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think the Banner news actually happened after Wednesday's show to recap that. So Banner's returned to practice. He's still on IR. There's a 21-day window to either activate him, or after 21 days, he'll have to his season will end if they do not activate him within the next 3 weeks. So that clock began on Wednesday. So it was a good surprise. You weren't sure where it was going to go. Obviously, that means that Stephon Tuitt nor Anthony McFarland have been back to practice and are not practicing the way the Banner is. So those guys are still a little ways away, obviously. So we'll see on Banner. I don't know if he's going to play in week 4 or not, but it's either going to be, assuming a core forward does not play, it'll be either Joe Haeg or Zach Banner.
Which way does your gut tell you is going to go with Banner?
Man, that's a really good question.
Gut check.
Yeah. My gut says, I really don't know. I just don't have a lot of information to go off of. It feels like he may play because they kind of need him, and if he's getting back like this, and it seems like he's on. I mean, again, he was practicing in the preseason. I don't know what happened to kind of what the setback was to cause him to start the season on IR, but I mean, the guy was out there. It's not like he didn't work at all during the summer. So if you make me answer, I think he will get activated. All
right, if he does get activated, then does he start?
Yes, I don't think you would activate him unless you were going to start him.
Right. I think that's probably the better question because we don't have the information of where he is. You would think a guy though would want to get more than just a couple of practices in, wouldn't you?
Well, this team needs all the help it can get, and either way, though, I will say Banner or Haeg, I think that is an improvement from a run blocking standpoint, and this team could use all the run blocking help possible. Now, it's not going to solve all their issues, but it's a step.
Yeah, Rashad Coward, he hasn't been active for a game yet this season, and him going from limited to do not practice on Thursday is not a great sign with him. Carlos Davis looks like he's going to be down again. Another did not practice there. Alex Highsmith, I guess that could go either way there. I think Friday will probably be a good tell with him. I would anticipate him probably ending the week as questionable here, and boy, they could use him back. They could use definitely the 4-man rotate, or 3-man rotation of Highsmith, Ingram, and Watt in this game, and hopefully not have to play Derek Tuska at all in this contest. And then, oh boy, all 3 wide receivers on the injury report. And Deontay Johnson might be the healthiest of them all right now, and he missed last week's game with a knee injury there. So keep your fingers crossed. The Friday afternoon injury report will tell us a little bit more. Probably going to be a couple of guys on there at least questionable.
Yeah, and I think from a quick Packers check, they're in pretty good shape, right? You told me, Dave, you had the report up. Are they dealing with any sort of major injuries?
They have the one wide receiver that's dealing with something there. Who is that?
Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Right. He it sounds like he's the one, as far as skilled players go and all like that, guys that would be considerable losses for them. He seems to be the one. Let's see. Elton Jenkins did not practice on Thursday. And didn't he? He was down last week, so they were without him last week. Cornerback Kenny King is still dealing with a concussion and not practicing, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, as you mentioned, with a hamstring. LaFleur talked and really didn't shed a lot of information there, so we'll have to see what the Friday injury report says with him. A.J. Dillon was added to the Packers injury report on Thursday with a back injury. Running back Aaron Jones, their starter, obviously has been limited both days with an ankle injury, but I don't think that's going to keep him out. So I think the key ones to watch there might be Jenkins with that ankle, and then Marquez Valdez-Scantling with a hamstring on Friday.
Yeah, Jenkins is a big one for sure. Really talented offensive lineman, can play literally any spot, and they've had some injuries there with Bakhtiari and now Jenkins. So that's certainly something to watch.
Especially if the Steelers can get that pass rush go, get Watt and a healthy Watt and Highsmith back. That's really going to be their saving light, I think, as we'll talk about a little bit later in this show. There is the Steelers' pass rush.
Yeah, absolutely. They need Watt and Highsmith back in the worst way. I think that was pretty evident in the Bengals loss. So, Dave, let's transition now to Matt Canada and Keith Butler, as they always do. They spoke on Thursday, and Matt Canada is very good about saying nothing at all, which is probably a fair way to approach it as a coach. And Keith Butler is his usual Keith Butler himself. But I do want to start with something Canada did say. And I don't want to harp on this too much because I get the sense a lot of Steelers fans are just kind of ready to move on. That was kind of the feedback I got yesterday. But I'm still really interested in that failed fourth down call in the Bengals game, that 4th and 10 swing pass to Najee Harris in the fourth quarter. And I'm less interested in the play itself, but in the way that the players and coaches have commented on it since. Ben and Dan Moore kind of just said they forgot what the play was and offered zero comment to it. And Matt Canada didn't really say much. He said, quote, "We just didn't execute it as we hoped. We called the play. We had guys in the end zone. It just didn't work. Bad play. Plays that don't work are bad plays." So I don't know how much you want to make of it there. The way that Tomlin and Ben seemed to infer that this was a design swing pass to Najee Harris with blockers out in front, but you watch the tape, there are no blockers. No one's even trying to block in front. Canada there saying, we had guys in the end zone seems to imply it was designed to maybe be a pass downfield. I don't know how much you care about this story or not, but I just think it's interesting the way that the team has kind of contradicted itself since the play happened.
They really have. Ben clammed up on Wednesday. It was obvious that I think Dan Moore was told don't talk about the play. And you get to Matt Canada, and I don't even know how to interpret it because of the way he said it. But some I think are wanting to say that this is Matt Canada throwing Ben under the bus. I suppose it could be. I mean, there's not enough there to say, nah, he's not. I mean, and it's not that I'm just going off the transcript either. I have the interview, so I can have the full context of it there.
I mean, the interesting part is when he says we had guys in the end zone. I mean, there were guys running vertically because, Ben said the design swing pass, the whole picket fence thing the Bengals were running, so they're going to be blockers out in front, which kind of implies receivers are blocking in front. They were not attempting to block at all. And so my initial thought was the Bengals bluffed pressure. Ben thought the blitz was coming, so he threw hot against it because they did that earlier in the game on a 3rd and 1 incompletion, and the Bengals just fooled Ben in the offense. And I'm kind of sticking with that because it just seems to make the most amount of sense.
It does to me as well, too. Ben got spooked. And as much as he's been hit in that game in the last couple of weeks, he probably said, "To heck with this. It's fourth. Let Najee deal with it here." And the funny thing is the longer that you stay on the kind of tape, Ben's reaction though on top of it's kind of a bit confusing as well too, because he throws his hands almost out to the lower side of him, like either "I can't believe I did that" or "I can't believe you called that."
But which is it?
Yeah, but which is it? So yeah, I mean we're never going to get, I don't think, an answer to this. So I mean we're just left to speculate. But it didn't help the way Matt Canada answered the question. Let's just kind of leave it at that, I think.
Yeah, it was a strange play, and to me, even stranger answers and a lot of non-answers afterwards. But I'm going to leave it at that. But I just wanted to point that out. Canada also asked about how this offense gets off to a quicker start, something Ben had said on Wednesday, that he's traditionally never been kind of a fast start kind of a guy, and that much is obvious with the Steelers offense the last 11 games, because as the stat I pulled after the podcast Wednesday, Pittsburgh's offense has not scored a single point in the first quarter of their last 11 games. The only points came in week 12 of last year. Joe Hayden's pick six, the extra point was missed, so literally 6 points in the first quarter of their last 11 games coming via the defense, and Canada, of course, saying that this offense has to start faster.
Oh, yeah, you have to go all the way back to the Tennessee game last season, too, to find the last time the offense had a first possession touchdown. So, that's we're coming up on getting close to a year on that. So, not great. Do they need to come out and run high tempo out of shoot? Or will that just get them into a 3-and-out faster? You can't run up tempo all game, And
especially on the road at Lambeau Field, tempo and no huddle is going to be tough to do to start.
Right, and how do you even come out and open with that, like you said, with an amped up crowd? Now, obviously, if you go down and manage to do that and score, you might help silence them a little bit, but. I kind of doubt it overall, and running bad plays faster, is that the trick?
Yeah, just get off. If you run it so fast, maybe no one will notice how bad it is. Maybe that's the approach. But also to the point, and Ben has made this reference several times, and I think he's doing it intentionally, is that this little huddle package Pittsburgh's running under Canada is a lot smaller than it was even last year with Randy Fichtner, because of, I guess, some of the newness of the offense and trying to install stuff. And so Ben has said that in the past you could choose from 50, 100 plays to run in no huddle. Now it's like a dozen. Those are his words, not mine. And so the one thing this offense could do last year was kind of up the tempo and go no huddle and let Ben kind of call the plays and run the show. Even that's been very much limited this year. And so I think that's another reason why this offense has struggled more, because some of the stuff that did work last year really isn't, according to Ben at least, available to him anymore.
But he goes on to say, Canada did. Can you expand on Ben Roethlisberger's menu of no huddle plays? He said, I'd have to talk to Ben. I don't think he's not able to do what he wants to do. I think we got into that mode a little bit on Sunday. We went down the field. I think we're pretty good on that. It's different, but I don't feel like he doesn't have what he needs or wants.
Ben's answers seem to contradict that 100%.
Oh, imagine that.
Because Ben, I don't have the quote in front of me. Maybe I can try to find it here. But, he said that the no huddle, it's there, but it's a lot more limited. The menu of plays is not nearly what it was last year. And again, that's understandable because it's new OC and you're trying to install your basic stuff, and maybe that gets added over time. But Ben's answer seems to, again, totally contradict what Canada's saying here.
And what's Ben, what does Ben want? Just more empty? And that seems to be whenever Ben starts taking over games in the second half that the Steelers are losing. That seems like that's a lot of what it is.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot empty. Spread the field out, no huddle, up tempo kind of stuff. I don't have that quote in front of me. I thought we had written about it somewhere. Maybe I just can't find it currently. But I know. Ben's made this comment 3 or 4 times in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so a little bit of discrepancy there, but look, there's discrepancy all throughout this offense right now, and when things don't go well, and he's getting hit, and just nothing seems to be working. That's where you dissect quotes that don't have a lot of context mixed into them, I guess.
I did find the quote. This is September 22nd that got posted on Steelers Depot. He says, quote, this is Ben talking about no huddle. We don't have it in the sense of what we had in years past. We've got this whole menu of plays that I can go to and call. You always have no huddle in the sense that you have a 2-minute offense and you're not huddling in the 2-minute offense. In that sense, we have 10 to 12 plays, where in the past maybe we've had 50 to 100 plays, but it's different the way that we run it. And so that's Ben's commentary there, basically saying that, of course, no huddle still exists. Every team has some package of no huddle, but it's a lot more limiting than where it was last season.
Are these Ben's personal 50 to 100 plays? It's just not having no huddle to me is not the difference in this thing, or not having a large selection of no huddle.
I mean, yes and no, because it was the thing that was effective last season. And in games where you're falling behind, like the Bengals game, if you can still run no huddle, but obviously what you can work with seems to be lesser. So is this the magic formula to turn on the Steelers offense? No, it's not. But is it one thing that hurts this offense even more? I think it's fair to say.
Well, I mean, they had, once again, you go back just last year alone, second half of games, and it seems like it's a lot of empty stuff there. And I mean, if that's the only way you can move the football with Ben Roethlisberger's no huddle and basically him calling the plays, then why the hell do you even need an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, you certainly can't base your whole offense around that idea, but it's just one more limiting thing where if your original plan doesn't work, now the backup plan of kind of running more no huddle seems to be less of an option. And I'm just saying that's like another element that's hurting this offense even more.
All right. What else did Matt have to say?
He's got to be better. I got to do a cut up of how many times Matt Canada says I got to be better, and I mean that's fine to say. It's accountability, and I understand that. But I think it's going to get pretty old here pretty quickly unless things actually get better. But we talked about the offensive line needing cohesion. Some of the comments about being on the right track, and we're going to do what we're going to do. It's not going to play well, obviously. I think some of that was he was responding to some weird question about Najee Harris running the Wildcat. For some reason, someone asked that question, and so Canada was just saying like we're going to stick to kind of our plan here. But obviously, things have to get better.
And a couple of times he reiterated that it's not just one thing. And oh boy, it's not just one thing.
If only it was one thing.
If only it was one thing. And well, that sounds good in theory when you dice it down. The fact that it isn't just one thing, and the fact that it isn't just two things, and the fact that it isn't really just three things, that's what really gives you a lot of concern right now with this offense is.
Yeah, I think popcorn was the word that Canada used.
Oh, it's beyond popcorn. I mean, it's popcorn and candy apples and cotton candy and candy corn. It's everything right now.
Yeah, no, it is. And so that's the frustrating part. As you said, Dave, we wish it was just one isolated thing. You just say it's this player, it's this schematic issue, it's whatever. And you could fix it a lot easier that way. But when it's a ton of small things that consistently pop up across the board, it becomes really difficult to fix.
I mean, you have you have linemen, not all five linemen making blocks. A lot of times just one missing a key block on a run play. You have not properly handling stunts when you really need it up the most. You have confusion maybe in some certain pressure packages between your tackle and your running back. You have a quarterback that just can't seem to hit guys more than 15 yards down the field. You have wide receivers dropping and running backs dropping footballs. What did I miss?
Yeah.
Running backs missing holes.
Did you mention penalties?
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Penalties. I mean, it's beyond. I don't know what the next step up from popcorn is, but it's that. It's a bucket of popcorn. That's for sure.
It is, for sure. So, anything else, Matt Canada? Or do you want to talk about what Keith Butler had to say, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, once again, we picked out the things that could firmly, it was just a lot of Matt Canada saying we got to do better, and it's not one thing, which we knew that.
For sure. Keith Butler speaking with the media as well yesterday and was asked about, do you still consider yourself a blitzing defense? He said probably not as much as we did last year if you're looking at that stuff. And that's right. I haven't run the numbers yet. I'll do that after the Packers game, but the blitz rate is way down. I mean, I'm sure that's going to vary game to game based on the game plan and the opponent and things like that. But certainly less blitzing this year from the Steelers.
And overall, that's I don't see that to be, other than the game against the Bengals where they couldn't get pressure and they needed it. It really hasn't been an issue because ideally you'd like the ability to get pressure with 3 or just 4 guys. And up until Watt and Highsmith went down, they were able to consistently do that. And you go back to the later days of Dick LeBeau where, man, if they don't blitz, they're not going to get pressure. And the fact that they had to send more than 4 a lot of times got the back end in trouble. in there. So I don't find it. The less blitzing that this team has to do and can just straight up 4-man rush it, the better for the back end, actually. So, I know there's probably a subset of fan base saying we're not we're Blitzburg. We got to be Blitzburg. That's who we are. That's not a good Yinzer invitation, is it? It's more like a it's more like a Southern.
Yeah, that was an angry Southern SEC Roll Tide kind of thing.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably exactly right there. But to me, I mean, it's not a red flag to me unless you get into a game against the Bengals. And then on top of it, I mean, heck, the kid didn't even drop back 20 times in the game, so that's even less instances. Other times he was able to get the ball out quick, and well, there you go. So I don't find it a big red flag that they're not, that the blitzing is down, because overall I take that as a good thing. Because they've been able to, up until the game against the Bengals, get pressure with just 3- and 4-man rushes.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's that devastating either, but it is a departure from what this team has done. So it's just kind of interesting to note. The whole defense kind of feels different. Even Keith Butler had said, quote, this is talking about not following Devontae Adams around. He says, quote, well, because we play a lot of zone. And in past years, they played a lot more man coverage. And so I think with this young secondary, probably less talented secondary overall, they have to blitz less to kind of protect the back end. You blitz more, you create more one-on-one matchups and put more pressure on the guys that are covering. And B, you're probably playing more zone, because asking some of these guys to man up consistently when they're younger and the talent isn't maybe as strong can put yourself in some more negative situations. So I think you're seeing this defense change a bit this year because of, I think, primarily the new and young faces in the secondary, like Trey Norwood, like James Pierre, et cetera.
Yeah, especially when we talked about the slot all off season, right? Who can play in the slot and who can cover in the slot in man situations, and I think they know that they have some concerns there, really.
Yeah, I know they tried Minka a lot in the slot the first 2 weeks. He didn't play anything in the slot against the Bengals, and Trey Norwood's snap percentage have gone down week by week. So I think they're trying to scale back his role in this defense after taking some lumps, I think, early on in the first 2 weeks of the season. But yeah, it's definitely a defense that has a different feel to last season, both in coverage and both in the blitz rate.
And, predictably, he was asked about the long touchdown to Jamar Chase with James Pierre in coverage. And I thought he answered that fairly and correctly without, totally destroying James Pierre. But in so many words, we talked about this since the game as well, too, saying that you got to know the situation there. And the situation was you've got a young burner on the outside that can beat you over the top. It's on tape that he's beat people over the top there. And you're in the end of half situation there with less than a minute left. The last thing that you can have happen there is to get beat over the top for a touchdown. Now, was it I guess technically okay coverage and a super great pass and a back end catch of the football? Absolutely. But you know what they call almost covering good? It's a touchdown. And it just in that certain situation there, you got to keep everything in front of you. You got to keep a lid on it there. And at worst, if you gave up something underneath, okay, they get a field goal and they go in up by 3. At worst, they get in a third and long situation, aren't in field goal range, and you go in tied at halftime there. So I think more than anything, Butler was trying to stress that you got to know what the situation is there, and you can't allow yourself to get beat deep.
Yeah, that's been an issue for this team the last 2 weeks, and they're going to have some speed if a guy like Valdez-Scantling can play on Sunday. He's 4-3 kind of a guy, and so I think Pierre, that just comes with time and growth and experience, and he is a corner that's certainly more aggressive than not, and sometimes that really works well. It's a big reason why his camp was excellent overall, but I think his eye discipline needs a little bit of work, and I think he can be a little aggressive trying to make the play underneath, and that kind of can hurt him over the top.
Right, going for the trying to maybe set up for an interception there and steal one and then get beat get beat on the back. And look, we've said this a few times. It was a great throw. I mean,
and a good catch. I mean, that catch was
right.
About the catch.
I mean, he caught the back end of the football. It really is. But I mean, this guy now. I mean, here we are now. The Bengals now 4 games into this thing. If we've learned anything about Jamar Chase that we didn't know, maybe it's the fact that this guy can, he kind of reminds you of a little bit smaller AB to some degree, especially his ability to get on top and get that last second separation there with some nice hand usage on top of it. A lot of people say, that's pass interference. He pushed off. Okay. How many times did AB get away with that?
Right.
If you don't get called for something like that, good on you. But it is kind of subtle. If you slow the tape down, you probably say, yeah, maybe he did push off a little bit there. But look, I mean, some of those edges are going to go to the offense anyway in today's NFL because they like the scoring on top of it. So if it's not super blatant, then they're not going to get called on that. But I tell you, that guy's really starting to turn my head for what he's able to do down the field. More than anything else. And once again, it just goes back to James Pierre. Got to be smarter in that situation. You just, whatever the price, you can't get. Heck, even if you had to pull him down at that point, pull him down. Just make sure he doesn't catch that thing over your head for a touchdown with that time left in the first half.
Definitely. I did like Keith Butler's commentary about, how this defense has to do better in sudden change, give up only field goals instead of touchdowns. On both of Ben's interceptions against the Bengals, the Bengals offense turned that ensuing possession into a touchdown. 14 points off the 2 interceptions. And obviously, Ben, you don't want to turn the football over in the first place, but I think that's a good point because normally this defense has been really strong about holding teams in those kind of sudden change moments, and they were not good enough on Sunday. Again, dealing with injuries and stuff like that, I understand, but I think that was a good point by Keith Butler.
Yeah, and Cameron Hayward hit on that the other day as well too. Said we got to keep them to threes, in those situations, and make no mistake about it. If the look, you don't want the defense is going to have to play a huge part in this thing. And we said that right out of the chute going into the season, that defense is going to have to play good. But this defense is really going to have to play good for these next 3 weeks, especially here. If the Steelers want to have a chance to turn this thing around, unless something magically happening with the offense, which I'm not counting on, then the defense really needs to play. Almost like they had to do a couple of years ago when the team lost Ben. They're going to have to start manufacturing a lot of short fields, maybe some scores. Danny Smith's going to have to come up with some scoring plays.
So they did week 1. I mean, that's true.
And that's what happened. That's exactly. And they're going to have to ugly out a few of these games, I think. And so, yeah, I mean, Keith is right on that.
Yeah, I talked about that. A terrible take today. This defense has to play like it's 2019. And that's a high bar. It's asking a ton from this group, I understand. But, I mean, if this offense figures things out, I mean, that's the way this team's going to win games, is by creating turnovers, short fields, and maybe putting the ball in the end zone themselves from time to time.
I was asked if T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith will play. I hope so, but don't know so. So if you're asking, I don't know. We'll see, hopefully. He wants to spill the beans. He wanted to.
He's getting better.
Yeah. Is Carl Joseph healthy? Yeah, he's all right, I think. Let's see. He had some health issues recently. They asked him. He says he has. Is he going to play? And is he going to play well? We'll see. I'm not going to tell them. I'm not going to tell you either. What magically can Carl Joseph do, Alex?
I don't think anything right now. And it seems like the team is content to keep him on the practice squad. So all those initial rumors about how he's going to get promoted after they signed him, include COVID protocol, seem to be inaccurate.
They surely do. I mean, look, I suppose he could be one of the guys that you elevate this week. But if you elevate him, who's going to be inactive?
Yeah, I'm not sure what purpose he would serve, or unless you just want to do something different. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
When going through the charting and the All-22, I forgot to ask you this the other day. What did you think about Arthur Millett's play?
pretty nondescript, kind of the way it was in camp. I mean, he plays better downhill. I mean, he plays to run fairly aggressively and hard. And he's a more physical guy than his size would indicate. In coverage, he's average at best. I would say below average kind of a guy. He's a very, very poor man's Mike Hilton kind of player.
Okay. I mean, he did have that nice tackle over there on the side, but that was about the only thing that he stuck out on there.
Yeah, he's better downhill. He's a decent tackler. He's aggressive. He'll take on blocks, but I mean, as an actual cover corner, I mean, it's wholly average.
All right, and then Keith Butler ended his media session, was asked about Stephon Tuitt. How is he close to being back? He says, I hope so. I really do. I hope he's close. Hope he gets back to us. What's that time frame? I don't know. He's got some stuff there that he's got to overcome. I don't know what that means. A lot of people are trying to parse that out. Probably further than it needs to be. I'm going to back him as much as I can. He's a good football player and has been for us for a long time, so I'll be glad when he gets back. So, there's still the whole, supposedly had the knee procedure issue and all like that. And, some people are probably saying, is this guy just not going to be able to mentally play football anymore because of what happened to his brother, tragically killed over the summer? Is that, is he going through one of those what is life about stages, which is totally possible. I mean, look, this guy, you never know how tragedy is going to affect some people, right? Especially that kind of tragedy that includes your mother watching her son get killed, So I don't think you can discount, and hopefully I'm not trying to play down any of it because, quite honestly, we don't know. If it's only the knee. I would like to think that it's only the knee that has him slowed right now, especially with the word coming out right before the season that there was a procedure done on it right then at that time. But, the fact of the matter is we don't know for sure there. So here's what we do know, and that's the fact that Stephon Tuitt's not going to play against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday, and that's pretty much the long and short of it. Now, if I think next Wednesday becomes the next line in the sand. Every Wednesday becomes the next line in the sand with him. If he's allowed to start practicing, then obviously he becomes a possibility to play that following game. But with someone with him now, it's not like Zach Banner. Zach Banner participated some in camp and got in a preseason game and then went on IR and then's coming back. This is a guy that has not played any football at all. So if he started practicing next Wednesday, what's the likelihood of him playing on Sunday?
Yeah, he would probably need at least a week, I would guess.
All right. So in other words, I guess what I'm getting at here, and it's what I wrote up yesterday when I wrote up the post on what Butler said about this is, man, if he doesn't begin practicing next Wednesday, you have to think that we're probably not. There's a good likelihood that we don't see Stephon Tuitt on the field until after the bye week.
Yeah, that's possible. I don't know what's going on. I think people are forgetting that he does have an actual injury with that knee, and it's not 100% related to the loss of his brother. So I think people kind of lose sight of that because it was reported, but not in a big, loud way. It was just kind of mentioned and then kind of got thrown around a bit during that time. So it's hard to say what's going on, but I just wanted people to remember that he actually had a knee injury and knee surgery, and the extent of that we're not 100% sure. I believe it's a meniscus, but we don't have a lot of details there. So just want to have people remember that there is an actual injury that he's recovering from.
All fans see is, boy, he's making this X amount of money. He's not playing, And, here's the hope, and it's, it is just a knee, and God bless him if it's something, if it's more of the mental aspect with him. You just don't know what people go through and how they handle certain situations in life on top of it. So I tend to think that it's still knee related, but none of us really know.
Right. So we'll keep you updated. As Dave said, he's not playing Sunday, and that's kind of just, how we'll look at it right now and take it from there.
And we know even less about Anthony McFarland right now too.
Yeah, I know nothing about McFarland in terms of his injury, his timetable, anything. Couldn't tell you a thing about him other than he has not practiced yet, and he will not play against the Packers either.
Yep.
Dave, let me start over. Jerry Dulac had
easy for you to say.
Yeah, well, this report is supposed to be befuddling as my own commentary trying to talk about it here. This is according to, I guess, Jerry Dulac through Andrew Filipponi. So it's a whole grapevine thing. I haven't heard the actual comments myself, to be honest with you. But Dulac says, I'm going to read the quote here from Filipponi. He says, quote, if a change gets made on the Steelers offensive line, Kevin Dotson would come out of the lineup for B.J. Finney. Kendrick Green will remain at center. So I don't know how you want to attack this thing. Look at this thing. This is not Jerry Dulac saying that B.J. Finney is replacing Kevin Dotson. It's saying if a change were to get made. I don't know how the question came up. I don't know if this is a hypothetical thing. Like, if the team made a change, what change could you see happen? I don't even know how the whole context here for this one. But that's I'm hesitant to call it a report. That is the information, and I'll pass the buck on to you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
I tried to look for it to provide more context. I have not found it yet. There is a giant capitalized if in there, correct? Both the I and the F are capitalized?
Right.
Okay, so I don't know how you want to start dissecting this. I'll start. Allow me.
Please, I will allow you. Go ahead.
It would be asinine. Can you use that on a podcast?
Yes, I think based on some of the things we've said, asinine is perfectly fine word to use.
It would be asinine to think that you're upgrading the offensive line by pulling Kevin Dotson out of left guard and putting B.J. Finney in at left guard, unless maybe you're just going to run a lot of power and a lot of counters to the left-hand side throughout the game. And I'm talking about 30 or 40 of them. Really, other than that, look, none of the five have played well across the board. I think, A, you and I can agree on that. B, where is Kevin Dotson on the concern, on the individual concern meter? He's not number one. That would be Kendrick Green. Number two, probably Chukwuma Okorafor. I guess number three is when it comes into the talk about maybe it could be either Dotson or Dan Moore Jr. So, I mean, if you got to go more than two deep, then look, I like B.J. Finney for what he is, and that's a guy that can come off of the sideline there, maybe give you a couple of good snaps, and especially in the running game, and especially at left guard. That's been his best spot. But this is a guy that's also played 11 offensive snaps since the start of the 2020 season. He is what he is. I mean, we have sung his praises in the past in some games that he has played, particularly against the Kansas City Chiefs, where the Steelers have had some run success in that area, but merely putting him in the game at left guard in place of Kevin Dotson, to me, is would you're gonna end up, God bless Ben.
Yeah, it would feel like a change for the sake of making a change. I have been kind of disappointed in Dotson. I haven't seen the big jump from him, but it's not like he's the number one issue or the major liability out there. And the few times this team has actually run the football, it has been on some of those power runs with Dotson pulling left to right. And I don't think Finney would have near the success that Dotson would. So, again, this isn't even Dulac saying that it's going to happen. I guess it's more of a theoretical. If the team makes a change, that's the idea. And then Finney is the next man up at guard, so he'd be the one to replace either guard, Turner or Kevin Dotson. So I don't know. I'd be surprised if it happened, but and I just don't really see necessarily the value or benefit of it.
Boy, what does it say about Dotson and having that selection? If you get into this part now where he's supposed to be making it, and look, he had put these two in a vacuum here. Dotson has not played to the level that many of us thought he would or could play so far.
Right.
But is that a byproduct of the rest of that popcorn that's going on up there? I mean, there have been times though where I thought that he's especially during the preseason, where he was by far the best the best of any of the offensive linemen out there. Man, if you have to already throw him into the dumpster there, and look, Trey Turner's hanging on by a thread right now. He's not going to be back next year, I wouldn't think. Then what are you going to do? You already got you're questionable enough at the center position as it is right now, and then you're going to tell me that you don't have two guards. Oh, I mean, I know that's next year, but I guess what I'm getting at here is, I mean, I guess anything can happen, and Finney could get the start on Sunday against the Packers, but I don't see how that's a step in the right direction. Especially, look, they said no changes, and you know all that we've heard all this week from the coaching staff there. You know, to me, merely flipping Finney for Dotson's not the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't tell. I didn't get the sense this was going to be a change implied for this week, but it could be a down the road thing if these issues continued. Like if they were going to make a change anywhere to start shifting things and shaking things up, that's where they would start. Seemed to be the way it was, but again, I haven't even heard the initial report. It sounds like it was a TV report that Jerry did for the 6 o'clock news or whatever that I haven't seen because I don't watch the news on a nightly basis. So I don't know. It sounds like almost a throwaway line at the end of a report or something, but I'm lacking the context here.
Yeah, and you know some of these guys don't have some of them don't have any credibility, and some of them have lost a lot of credibility over the years. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, so we'll see. It does. I expect Dotson to be the starting left guard Sunday against the Packers, and I'll take it from there.
If any of you listening think that's me taking a shot, you're probably right, but go ahead.
Not going to touch that one. All right, Dave. Anything else here from media guys talking? Devin Bush said he's got to make more plays. He didn't have a whole lot to say, I guess, overall. Anything else that either him or Cam or anyone else who's spoken with the media that kind of caught your attention? You
know, just other than I hate to bang on Bush. I banged on Bush a little bit this offseason here. What do you think? I mean, it was like not even a 4-minute media session, and that's not his fault. But what do you think about his overall demeanor right now?
I thought it was fine. I mean, I don't know.
Does it feel like he's a defensive leader?
No. I mean, but I don't think anyone thinks that he is right now. I think that the leaders on this team are Hayden and Watt and Cam.
But wouldn't you think that you're wanting to see some developing defensive leadership in him?
I mean, it was a 4-minute thing. I can't really tell. I think it's hard to use that 4-minute clip to look into a lens of leadership or anything. He didn't say anything wrong. I think he was talking about how he make more plays and be accountable and things like that. And those are leadership calls.
Right. I don't get a great vibe, I guess, optics, from him right now when he's dealing with the media, especially having a first round draft pick, invested in him and all on top of it there. Look, I mean, it's easy to say that he really hasn't made a lot of splash plays so far, but he did on that interception the other day, against the Bengals. He was the reason why that throw was high and why that throw ultimately ended up in the hands of Terrell Edmonds. So there is that aspect of it. You would like to see him be able to play downhill more. But remember the conversations that we had about him way back at pre-draft, and I think we had like 2 of them that were just absolutely out of this world. Probably some of the best pre-draft conversations that you and I have had together. We've had a lot of them. But the statistical versus the tape aspect with him, the guy doesn't make a lot of plays at all in the backfield, but when you do turn on the tape, you do see the sideline ability with him. Now, he has made some nice plays. There haven't been a lot of them, but there's been a couple of them where you've seen that sideline action even this season with the Steelers, okay? But still, you don't see the downhill aspect of his game. Correct?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. He's not the downhill Vince Williams kind of thumper, and you do need to see more splash from him. It hasn't necessarily translated, and as I mentioned, this defense really has to create those big plays to help out this really struggling offense. So I think Bush can and should be better, but I think it's been an okay start again. I'm just happy that he was available and getting these reps and able to play basically from the word go.
And look, you had to put an asterisk in there with him right now. Still, he's not even a full year removed from that knee injury right now. So, until he gets to that point, there does need to be a little asterisk in there with him.
Yeah, there is. But it's also fair just to evaluate his play as it currently is, just the way we would for anybody else. That's probably the easiest way to look at it.
I mean, he's not Devin White. We can agree on that, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. White seems to be the better player overall. But, we'll see how Bush looks, and this will be a big week because, Aaron Jones is a big part of the Packers passing game. And so linebackers will probably, him and Schobert will see a lot of Aaron Jones this weekend. Speaking of Green Bay, let's talk about this Packers game here.
Hopefully Melvin Ingram don't have to see nobody except running straight ahead.
Yeah, dropping Melvin Ingram. I said that at the word go. Yeah. I said, really good guy going forward. Do not drop him into coverage ever. And the Steelers have done that too much for my liking so far this season. But let's talk about this Packers game. Packers 2-1 on the season. Had that dud of a game against the Saints week 1. They lose, 35-3, then come back and have 2 really strong victories the past 2 weeks. Let's start with this Packers offense, of course, led by Aaron Rodgers. The Rodgers to Devontae Adams connection is one of the strongest in football. And certainly we talk about some of the big skill guys to worry about. It's Rodgers, it's Adams, and it's Aaron Jones, who is making as much of an impact in the pass game as he's in the run game right now.
Lord have mercy. Aaron Rodgers looks like he can play for however much longer he wants to play for right now. You talk about Brady and some of the things that the modern marvel, I guess, that Tom Brady is, and I don't know how much all 22 from the Buccaneers you've watched so far this season. Probably not a lot, but man, Tom Brady might be playing some of his best football up until this game against, and even against the Rams, he played pretty good. But I'm seeing your Merrill Hodge comments. Oh no, that's who wrote that up? Did you write that up?
Yeah, the Merrill Hodge article. Yeah, I wrote that. Yeah, he was a very honest assessment of the Steelers' offensive line. Very blunt.
I don't think anybody could truly appreciate how well Najee Harris has played. Did you write that one up, or is that?
Oh, Matthew? That one. No, I think that was Matthew. I wrote the one about the O-line getting the movement yesterday.
Oh, okay. And I thought Hodge was pretty. I hate to sidetrack here, but I thought Hodge was fair in that, right? A lot of things of what you've said, right?
Yeah. For a guy that does some team stuff like Hodge does, usually you don't get that kind of open criticism. I don't think that was like for Steelers.com or anything. I don't believe, but usually those guys are a little more flowery in their language, and so I appreciate Hodge's honesty about that because I think he's 100% right. All
right, and good job on you on writing that one up, and I think Matthew's got a good one up on that just went up on SteelersDepot.com on Merrill Hodge and his thoughts about Najee Harris and how he's played so far. I'm sorry to sidetrack, but it just popped up there. But back to quarterback play and Aaron Rodgers, man, just the last 2 games alone. Now, obviously, Aaron Rodgers made some mistakes. It just I don't know how that got away from them against New Orleans the way it did. But man, the last 2 games since then against Detroit and San Francisco, man, some of those throws that guy's still making. I mean, the red zone, I guess, kind of Tampa 2 throw to the Tanyan. I mean, where Tanyan probably had to have that ball removed from him. In that situation, the cover 2 hole shot touchdown throw. I think that was against was that against the Lions? Yeah, I think it was against the Lions as well too. And then the throw that we already talked about there from the other night against the 49ers there on that game winning drive there that included the deep corner deep dig and. I mean, that throw there, and those are just a couple that we've highlighted. He's made a lot of great throws there. This guy really still sees the field very, very well. He's still able to throw to all areas of the field, can still drop them in the bucket on those slot fades, to really any of his eligibles there. And yeah, the ball goes to and through Devontae Adams quite a bit in this offense, and Jones is the second leading receiver, so they use the back out of the backfield really, really well as a check down when needed. And It really is kind of it feels like more of a feast famine with him right now. He's either connecting down the field or he's taking a lot of underneath stuff, and I think that kind of shows in some of his intended air yard numbers versus completed air yard numbers there. So he's been disciplined. It did get away from him with a couple of bad decisions there in the game against the Saints. But look, this goes back to the week 2 game, I guess, for the Steelers and the Raiders. It starts with their offense, and it runs through Davante Adams. I think you've got to take the same approach with him as you really did with Diggs in the opener and with Waller in the second game. Is you can't let that guy kill you. He's going to get his catches, going to have 6, 7, 8 catches in this game on Sunday, but can you limit it to 79 yards and no touchdowns and no big plays there? Because if you do that, then you just got to say, okay, he beat us by going somewhere else, and he has the ability to do that.
Yeah, in the last 2 games, so excluding that miserable week 1, Rodgers is completing 75% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And the team has put up 30 points and plus points in the last 2 games. And so they can do it with a long ball for sure. As you mentioned, some of those slot fades, those chop routes to Lazard in particular seems to be one of their favorite concepts on even 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. But the quick game was really working for him against the 49ers last week. I think the stat was on the broadcast that Rodgers was 16 of 18 for $140 and a touchdown on throws 2.5 seconds or quicker. And so the ball's probably going to come out pretty quick in this game, knowing the Steelers pass rush and blitz schemes. We've talked about that throughout the week. And so although hopefully pressure does improve because it needs to improve, it may be tough to do so because I'm sure the Packers' intent is for Rodgers to get the ball out of his hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, and to counteract that, you got to get him in some 3rd and long situations, right? Things where he has to hold the football longer, and that the way you're going to turn the tide, or the way the Steelers defense is going to make a huge difference, and the only way I think that they're going to be able to win this game is to limit Aaron Jones both on first down as a runner and as a passer out of the backfield, and then get in 3rd down situations there and hope you can fumble Aaron Rodgers, sack him, period, or force him into throwing the ball where he doesn't want to throw it. Force the football into maybe some zones. I don't think you can play man. We talked about this a little bit earlier when talking about what Keith Butler had to say. More of a zone heavier back end right now, and I think you almost have to do that. And force Aaron Rodgers to maybe smaller window throws, but on flip side, if they stretch you out empty, and they're not afraid to do this. I mean, look, here's the thing that really sticks out with them is they're not afraid to do any kind of personnel grouping here with them.
Right.
They'll go 3 tight ends. They'll go 21, they'll go 22, or they'll go empty. I mean, they will use the whole gamut of personnel and formations here. And if you get in a one-on-one situation with them, he's not afraid to try to take the lid off the top of it there too. And that's another scary thing based on what we've seen so far, because this defense of the Steelers has given up 30 deep air yard completions of over 30 yards 3 times already this season. 2 of those have resulted in touchdowns. One other time probably should have resulted in a touchdown to Emmanuel Sanders in week 1.
Right, yeah, and Rodgers certainly has the arm to throw it wherever he needs or wants to. That arm strength has not, fallen off at all. Yeah, in terms of the coverage, I always hate playing zone against these top-tier quarterbacks, though, because they just absolutely pick you apart because they're just so good at, the accuracy is so strong and the reads are so good and they just nickel and dime it to death. Brady, Mahomes, those guys always just seem to do well. So I don't know what coverage I would play other than my standard answer of mixing stuff up, but I think maybe I have to play some more man. I just feel like if you play zone against elite quarterbacks, they just kill you all day long. Man,
do you want Davante Adams running? I mean, you would obviously have to bracket him. There's got most of your help's got to be on top of him then.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running zone, it's gonna be hard to bracket Adams because you're running zone.
Right, but at least you're kind of keeping the play in front of you, or at least thinking that you will.
Yeah, I mean, you can still run. If you're running cover 3 or cover 1, if Adams runs deep, that becomes a match coverage anyway. You're carrying that thing vertical. So I mean, in that case, it kind of becomes man, whether or not you're running man or zone. Technically speaking, I suppose.
It all is going to start with the run, stopping the running game and getting them in, and getting Aaron Rodgers into as many uncomfortable situations as possible. Because if he feels against that line of his that he's getting that pressure, then the ball is just going to come out quick.
Yeah, I will say the run game has not been super effective this year.
No, but it's been good enough. And if they learn anything from the Bengals, they'll be running some wide zone.
Yeah, they are without their kind of H-back, fullback guy. He got placed on IR earlier this week. They have a backup option, so I don't know if it's going to radically change kind of their approach too much. And Jones is a good runner, and they have a varied scheme. They run some toss plays to the field and stuff like that, and they run zone, a lot of split zone action I've seen. So, some pre-snap motion as well, jet motion, and those types of things. I would say, whenever, if and when the Packers get near the goal line, they really just let Rodgers run RPOs and just kind of just make decisions. And I mean, he can pull the ball out of the belly of the back and hit Adams on a slant, or they hit a touchdown last week on an RPO down near the goal line. So you just hopefully you don't get him to that point, because when he's inside the 5, he just has even more freedom, and you got to stop everything, and it's so tough to do.
Yeah, and that's where some of that off-platform magic of his happens still too, where it's all arm and look, even if you get him into like the just inside the red zone there, and you try to play some red 2, against him with 2 deep in a kind of a limited field there, he'll still drill one right into the tight end's head. He's still got that pinpoint accuracy and that ability there. All that said, the Steelers defense matches up with the Packers offense a lot better than the Packers defense matches up to the Steelers offense. True or false? The Steelers need 2 turnovers from their defense to win this game.
True. I think it's going to apply to a lot of games going forward too, not just this one.
Yeah, you're right. But I mean, really, when you're dealing with a guy that can end of game you the way, because even if you have a 3-point, 6-point, 7-point lead against Aaron Rodgers in the fourth quarter, it's not safe.
Yeah, as the Niners found out last week.
And
so
why the heck? I mean, they tried some zone in there too, didn't they? Late in that. I mean, I guess it's which way do you prefer to die, but I mean that guy did that throw that he made, man. I can't get over it. And him talking about that throw on the Pat McAfee show and kind of how the genesis of it, just it's mind blowing when you hear that and you try to apply it to what the Steelers do.
Yeah, let's touch on this topic really briefly since we're on the subject of Rodgers. I know that he talked up Pittsburgh quite a bit on that McAfee show on his weekly Tuesday appearance, but I can't see any scenario in which he comes to Pittsburgh next season.
Look, I will gladly eat my words on it, and it would surely be fun to see. I'm not going to discount that at all. There would be a lot of excitement. It'd be good for you. It'd be good for me. It'd be good for the site to have that kind of talk and all, and anticipation and week-to-week breakdowns of it. And once again, as much as I would love to be wrong potentially, I just don't see how it happens, Alex, period. Now, could you obviously make it work from a cap standpoint? Probably. But I think Tom kind of put it, and look, Green Bay is not West Coast, but it's closer to the West Coast than Pittsburgh is. And I think either he's going to play in Green Bay next season or probably not play at all, be honest with you.
Okay.
They redid his contract. If things go as well as I think they might go with Green Bay this season, I think he might be up for let's give it the one old more college try in Green Bay in 2022 than he would say, let me just dump and go over here and play for Matt Canada and Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. And look, if he wants the more control and say so in personnel in Green Bay, which was a lot of his fight, right? this year. What do you think he's going to say? What do you think he's going to say upon signing or before signing with the Steelers next season? And them saying, that's not how it works here, brother. You know, I would be shocked, and I've said that a lot of times, and obviously, a few times been proven wrong, but I will be stunned if Aaron Rodgers is playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2022. And I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I would welcome it. I'd be the happiest person in the world if Aaron Rodgers became a Steeler next season, but I just don't think it's going to happen. The reports were whenever you get the whole retirement, potential trade drama of the offseason that he wanted to go west. Tom said that on Wednesday when we spoke with him covering the Packers, Denver, San Francisco, those kind of places, because he's from California. I guess his fiance, does stuff in Hollywood and things like that. With Pittsburgh, just kind of, in the post-Ben world of this kind of at best retool, at worst a rebuild kind of situation with a very shaky offensive line. I just don't see it with Aaron Rodgers. So I know that he loves Pittsburgh dad, but I can promise you can watch those videos in San Francisco just as much as he could in Pittsburgh.
Let me correct what I said, because you brought up Denver in there, and obviously Denver was a team linked to him as a possibility this past offseason there. He'll play in Green Bay or Denver or nobody.
Okay. I don't know where he's going to play next season. I know it won't be in Pittsburgh. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm saying right now. Do
you like him? Just all the way around. Every aspect of off the field, on the field, performance, attitude, franchise quarterback. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know his life too well, I suppose, but I've come to know it a little bit more watching some of the stuff he's done on Tuesdays with Pat McAfee. Yeah, he seems like a really cool guy, very genuine, very honest. I like guys who are honest, and I hate that the media so many times wants these guys to be honest and authentic and not give cookie cutter answers. Then they do, and people jump on him for it. Like people get mad at Joe Hayden because he talked up Aaron Rodgers, and now he's his favorite quarterback and stuff like that. People got mad at Hayden for that. I'm like, the dude's being honest. Like that's good. That's refreshing. So I like that Rodgers knows how good of a player he is, and he gets to kind of act like that a bit and hold that kind of power and leverage, which I totally support for the top players in all sports, really. So yeah, seems like a really genuine dude. I mean, he can be a little quirky, a little bit weird, a little aloof sometimes, I suppose, but seems like a good guy.
I like him as well too, and I think when you're a franchise quarterback too, some of that other stuff materializes in there, passive aggressiveness, that kind that doesn't bother me. As long as you can back it up on Sundays, and
right.
Lord knows he has over the years there too. Yeah, outside of Steelers losing to the Packers in the Super Bowl many moons ago, yeah, I don't have an issue with him. I like him. I think he's easily one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and boy, he still can fire that football too, and that's something to have you concerned going into this game.
Let's talk about the Packers defense now. And Dave, I think we both come to the same conclusion. I feel like the Jaws music is playing right now. Kenny Clark coming. Yeah, we're the Steelers. We need a bigger boat. We need a bigger offensive line here to deal with Kenny Clark. That's the man in the middle, number 97. One of the maybe more underrated players in football, and just a game wrecker up front. He can play up and down the line. You'll see a lot of Kendrick Green and interior guards this week, and the number one guy to worry about with that Packers defense.
Man, when you turn on the tape with this team and get to the defensive side, it's the number one thing that jumps out. Period. End of story. Is Kenny Clark. And the fact of the matter is that game against the 49ers might very well have been his worst game of the three so far. And he was just there are a lot of highlights in that game against the 49ers, against him and Alex Mack. I have a solution to this, though.
Okay, hit me.
Play two centers against him and play 13 men on offense.
Well, you know the old saying, if you have two centers, do you have one? So.
Then you don't have one.
Yeah, and the Steelers might not have one. So.
Holy cow. I tried to go through this as objective as possible, envisioning some of these matchups on the Steelers side and what they can do and what they can't do. It is hard to imagine what is going to happen it's easy to imagine what is going to happen on Sunday with with Kenny Clark against Kendrick Green.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And so you have to really, know where he's at every single snap. And I think running away from him as much as possible is the key, and comboing him and making sure you're not, asking someone to solo or base block Kenny Clark, especially Kendrick Green. That's going to be just asking for disaster. So for a Steelers rushing attack that's already, really struggling, obviously, to face a guy like that in a pretty stout Packers run front that'll, really play bare fronts and cover up the center and the guards and make it really tough to run on them. They don't play it the way the Bengals do, where they're going to sell out against it, but they just have really good people up front.
Yes, and anything that they can do to get Kenny Clark singled up on Kendrick Green, I would expect them to do. People. I tell you what, don't go out there with heavy stuff out there against heavy personnel packages against that. I think you just.
Yeah.
I mean, you drew it up and said how they shouldn't have done it against the Bengals. They really should not invite a nose tackle onto the field. I mean, he's going to be on the field, obviously.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, don't invite lining him up over the top of Kendrick Green there. You want to run a lot of 11 personnel in this just because it gets him probably off of the nose more. Maybe you can, maybe that's more of harassing him with Trey Turner a little bit more there. I'm not so sure. I don't know how much outside zone the Steelers, and we've talked about this a little bit already, how they don't run a lot of it, but with the way the running game has been going so far, and particularly when you look at this matchup as a whole, and maybe the overall athleticism, outside of Kenny Clark going north and south, and look, they have some talent on that defensive line. I'm not sure you don't run a lot of outside zone in this and just try to use your athleticism and people on the move, maybe being able to reach their guys better than allowing just those guys to work north.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think it's a really astute point, Dave, to talk about going 11 personnel. Clark's still going to be on the field, of course. You're not going to take him off because of that, but it's going to be easier to get double teams that way. If you're in base and they're in their 3-4, it's going to be a lot harder to get double teams on Clark and try to combo him. And so I think forcing him to go in the sub package is going to be easier from an angle standpoint, from a double team standpoint, and things like that. So I would not go heavy in trying to run the football against this group, because I think Clark's just going to blow up play after play. And again, if you run at this guy and you base block him, you're losing. I mean, there's a million clips of that of people running at him. He's one-on-one, he sheds the block and makes the tackle. So if you do that, as Tomlin said last week, you're just stupid.
Yes, and you're going to end up with somebody getting hurt and Kendrick Green being worn like a hat.
Mm-hmm.
He wore Alex Mack like a hat.
That one play, dude, just pushes him back. It was a zone run to the right or a toss to the right, or what was that play? It was crazy. And Mack's a good player. He's older, but he's a good player. Slow
that down too, and zoom in on it. Look at the hand usage on Kenny Clark on there. I mean, he stabs him, and and him just fighting through double teams on some pass protections as well too. That guy's an animal. That guy should come with a warning on him. He will look. They've already faced some decent fronts already. This will be Kendrick Green's best test of the season so far.
Yeah, what a moment for Ken. What a moment for him. I think he had his worst game against the Bengals last week. What a chance to step up and improve, but it will be a big test for sure. That road does not get easier for Kendrick Green, and I'm sure the Packers are well aware of that fact about Green's struggles right now.
All right, talk about the rest of the defense. They mix up coverages, obviously. Boy, here's the hoping they play too high.
Yeah, try to run the ball a little bit better if they play too high. But at this point, I don't know what the Steelers can do to run the ball better, no matter what the defensive kind of front or personality is. From a pass rush standpoint, they're really missing Zadarius Smith. They only have 5 sacks. The Packers do this year. Preston Smith, the only player with 1 sack, and he has just that one. Everyone else with a half sack or less, obviously. So the pass rush has not been that great for them. They've gotten some pressure. They have some talent with Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary and guys like that. But hopefully maybe pass pro can be a little bit easier this week than it has been over the last 2 for the Steelers offensive line. Coverage-wise, they mix things up pretty well. Probably more zone than man. They play a decent amount of quarters, which you don't get a ton in the NFL, which could make it harder to run the football because although you might get some kind of too high looking looks in quarters, usually those safeties play at a reduced depth closer to the line of scrimmage in quarters defense in cover 4 to help with run support and filling the alley. So they got some talented guys. Adrian Amos, Jair Alexander's a really young emerging corner, had his first interception off of a quarters look last week against the 49ers. So they do vary things up, but they probably play more quarters and cover 6 than a lot of teams.
Yeah, and that interception, I think, included him covering a lot of ground, did it not? In the quarter situation there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was in his deep quarter to the opposite side. He threw the ball middle of the field. I think Kittle and Alexander made a great break and read on the football and made the play. I mean,
you talk about Steelers' ability to go deep or inability to go deep. It's it really feels like it's boiled down to the Steelers' offense now, as any deep shots is going to be a single high look, more than likely a man situation, and whether or not you can hit that or not, more than once or twice a game feels like it's the difference, going to be the difference of the game. Now, Jair Alexander on the outside, very, very good corner, but tends to get too aggressive at times there. Maybe you can double move him or something like that. Play action, I don't know. Try to set him up with a pump fake or something like that. That to me is one area that you can attack. It's going to be interesting with I guess Eric. If Kevin King doesn't play, Kevin King's been a liability for them as well too. Is Eric Stokes an upgrade over Kevin King? And who's going to play in the slot there for them? Is that a potential weakness of theirs that needs to be exploited?
Yeah, it could be. We'll have to see what King's status is. I think, you're throwing away from Alexander less often. Yeah, maybe you do run some double moves, but I'm sure most fans and myself are asking, can you protect long enough to do that kind of stuff? Because that stuff will take time. Now, again, the Packers pass rush has not been super strong this year, but I think it's a little bit better than the sack numbers overall say. But that'll be the ultimate question. Does Ben have time to do that kind of stuff?
Can they run against this Packers team on the edges? That's going to be, to me, that feels like the only real area where they have a chance of having some success, some outside zone, some pin and pulls. I think this is a team, from what I've seen with the Packers defensively, where, man, whatever motion packages you got, bring them on. Because I think you can try to manipulate them some with some motion and get some guys out of the box in that area and then try your hand at that. But I really think look, the running game's got to be better than what it's been, you would think. Of course, we've been saying that for a while there. If this offense has any run success whatsoever, I have a feeling we're going to be talking about it being on the edges outside the tackles.
Yeah. Bottom line is that they have to run the football better. That's the only way this offense has a chance to succeed, and the reason why it's failed so far. So, that's just the bottom line.
Dean Lowry, kind of a little bit of an underrated guy. I already talked about Preston Smith. Rashawn Gary, that guy's number one pick, right?
Yeah, he was a top 15 guy, I think, that this past, or 2 years ago, I think it was, I guess.
I guess you could say that they're suspect at the second level at the linebacking core.
Yeah.
Barnes is dealing with a concussion, I think, but he looks like he's going to play. Campbell's probably their linchpin in there.
Yeah, Campbell's the leading tackler. I think Oren Burks is going to play. I've always kind of liked Oren Burks. I don't know how much his involvement's been this year, but it's not. It's really Clark up front, Alexander in the back end of things. Darnell Savage, we both like Savage coming out of Maryland.
We both loved him. We thought, at least there was a period of time there where I thought he was going to be the pick.
Yeah, he's playing some good ball for them. So those are kind of the key guys to watch here. But overall, again, none of this matters, as Merrill Haas said, unless your run game gets better. It doesn't matter about the deep ball and the passing route tree and stuff like that. If your run game cannot get to at least a serviceable level, which just seems like so far away for this team right now.
And isn't that what we've said all along here? The offensive line play and the ability to run the football going to play into how the passing game of Ben Roethlisberger goes. And if you get in a situation where you're having to throw 40 or 50 times in this game, it's probably not going to be pretty. And boy, Kenny Clark could put some hits on Jimmy. He put Jimmy down.
Grappling. Yeah. No, sure.
Jimmy's down. There were a couple of them where you kind of envision, oh, man, I don't want Kenny Clark hitting Ben Roethlisberger that way.
Ben's taken enough hits like that already 3 weeks into the year. All right, Dave, anything else?
He's got to be gun shy at this point, right? How can you not if you're Roethlisberger behind that line right now?
I mean, I think to an extent, but I mean, this guy's played behind some bad offensive lines, kind of the gamer that he is. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, though.
All right. Going to have some explosive plays down the field through the air. Going to have some first down successes, whether it's run plays, simulated run plays by passes out to the edge. I suspect we're going to see a lot of quick screens in this one. Mm-hmm. From the Steelers offense. I think you're going to see a lot of quick slants. I mean, what, if anything, is going to be different that we're going to see offensively be successful other than execution being better is what I guess.
It's a good question. Maybe some increased motion. Maybe. This kind of thing that's coming to mind. I don't know.
We see a lot. We know what's. I mean, it's a lot of these old staples and all again. And I just you talked about the independent routes and on. You've talked about that for a long time there. But I mean, trying to envision switch routes concepts, deep down the field, corner digs, mills, dagger. I mean, the most elaborate this team gets is Yankee down the field, I think. Over with the tight end. I mean, that's what we get now. Can they execute? Can they run some power? Can they get on the edges and not get a holding call? And Ben throws it deep, and you hope for a pass interference or a Chase Claypool contested catch.
Yeah, I mean, they've tried some of that switch stuff, but they're going to have to really just do it like all the time just to try to give this offense every opportunity possible. It really has to be schemed open. Everything kind of has to be forced and not just letting your players play, because the talent and execution so far has just simply not been good enough.
All right, so where other than offensive line, which is a big part of this, and Merrill had made a good point during his radio interview on DVE, saying when things go well with the running game and offense, so the offensive line is usually the last to get talked about, right?
When things are going well, sure.
Right.
I mean, they always take the blame, never get the credit. So it's not fun, man. The two worst positions, man, to play are like offensive line and corner. There's just such lonely positions where you never get talked about if things are good, and it's just such a difficult position to play.
Is the offensive problems the last few years mainly related to limitations? Because, look, you also, in today's NFL, we've said this several times as well, too, you have to have a quarterback now in the NFL that can extend the play every once in a while. We saw Joe Burrow do that last night against Jacksonville. Extend the play, hit. My boy C.J. Uzomah had a hell of a game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. 2 touchdowns.
Extend the play, hit the tight end, touchdown. I mean, that's another element of the Steelers offense that's been missing now for a while, is getting few and far between, is the Roethlisberger extending the play. You see Roethlisberger try to extend the play against the Bengals over to the right on that flood concept there that was easily covered up, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, where is the root of this Steelers offensive problem?
The root's in the lack of the run game. Because of some of those things with Ben, he's not able to carry the team anymore. Very few quarterbacks are. The elite guys can, but Ben, again, is not an elite guy. I mean, if you can't run the football and you're just so limited in that, then you're playing behind the sticks a lot, and you're playing catch up. You're not on schedule, and those kinds of things. So to me, that's been the root of the issue for this offense. But sure, Ben's lack of mobility is a factor as well.
And you can't keep those ends at bay and honest at times too with a read option quarterback keeper. One of the best plays was Ben trying to run the shovel back to the inside, and it failed.
Right. He ran for the first down instead.
And that's a highlight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I tell you, we talked about this at the end of the last show there, though. But God bless him. But this has got to be it for Ben Roethlisberger this year.
Yeah. At this point, barring something unforeseen, I think this is going to be it for Big Ben. So, all right, Dave, I think we talked about the preview of the Packers game enough. Before we make our Week 4 picks, let's talk about our friends over at MyBookie. We're both starting off Week 4, by the way, 0-1 after taking the Bengals last night. They won but did not cover the spread.
Yeah, and the man got us, didn't he? And kind of a weird game overall. I mean, the Jaguars jump out to 14-0 and then have what do you do in that situation on that fourth down? I know it's easy after the fact to say I would have done this or I would have done that, but the analytics say you're up 14-0. It's an end of a half situation there. You got to go for it there, right?
This is going to sound like total hindsight. I was saying kick the field goal because you want to go three possessions there, and I swear I was saying that in my head when they were lining up for it. Because if it was still going to be a 2-possession game, then you probably go for it. But the difference between 2 and 3 possessions is huge in that situation. So I know the analytics did say to go for it. So maybe I'm wrong about this. I'm more traditional, old school with this kind of stuff. So I would have kicked the field goal.
But the Excel spreadsheet says that you go for it.
I'm a Steelers fan. We don't listen to no fancy math around these parts. You get out of here, Dave.
Well, here's the thing, too. I guess that plays into the math there is the scoring probability for the Bengals after whatever happens on that play goes up if you score. Does that make sense?
No.
All right.
The Bengals on the
because they get the ball right. Right.
Well, it'd be the same for a field goal or a touchdown, I guess.
Right. Sure, but I mean, the trade off of the points and all like right. That. I get the math in that situation there, but it's one of those precarious situations, right, where you kind of really question the math in that situation, I guess.
Yeah, just because you have a chance to go up another possession, which is huge for the second half, but. Either way, Jacksonville blew it, and that one hurt more because I was really hoping for a Jacksonville win just to make me feel a little bit better about the Steelers' chances. But what was the last time the Bengals started the season 3-1?
Man,
good for them.
I mean, there are a couple of plays in that game too where you think, man, they look like they might have something on offense there, and they were without T. Higgins too.
Right.
Again, unfortunate for sure there. I was going to hit on. Is Urban going to last the season?
Is he going to last next game? He looks like a man. He's ready to go to USC. I think he'll last.
That's what I thought last night, and I've thought that for a week now, and thought, he won't. We won't have a duplicate of all this. Oh boy, you watch his presser last night. It looks like see you later.
I'm getting like big. This is maybe a crass joke to make, so I apologize. But I'm getting like big Sanford and Son vibes. Like this is the big one. He's just gonna leave. 2018 Bengals started 3-1, so not that long ago actually. Okay. But they finished the year 6-10 anyway. So yeah, Urban. It's not going to go. I don't know how long he's going to last, but it won't be long.
He was apologizing to the media, I think, last night.
Was he? Yeah. What happened? Was something about a turnover?
Go watch it. Go watch it if you have time today. Like we have a lot of time. Tom Brady returns to New England. We're probably not going to have a lot of time, unfortunately, to watch to pay attention to this game live. Probably I think because of our work and the Steelers Packers being later in the afternoon. It's going to be maybe we'll get to see the second half of this. Tom Brady returns to New England for the biggest game of the year, and the stakes have never been higher at MyBookie. Whether you're backing the Bucks or Pats this Sunday, which obviously Steelers fans probably ain't backing any of them, the game is always more exciting when you've got money on it at MyBookie. Get in on the action and take this game to a whole new level at MyBookie. Both teams are sporting top defenses, and nobody knows each other better than Brady and Belichick. Slow and steady will win this race. Smart money bets the under on this one. Don't wait around. Join MyBookie now and get in on the biggest game of the season. Use promo code TERRIBLE and double your first deposit. Again, that's promo code TERRIBLE to get double your first deposit with MyBookie and start your winning season today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. I've used them for years. They've been a show advertiser for years. You can trust it. They've got a great app, everything. So if you're slow getting in on this betting action this season, probably not a better time to do so than this Sunday night game against the Packers and the Patriots there. So use promo code TERRIBLE and double your first deposit, and we appreciate them being, once again, advertisers on the Terrible Podcast.
All right, Dave, week 4 picks, again, both 0-1. I believe we both have identical records so far this season through the first 3 in a game weeks of the season. So let's see if we can separate from ourselves here in week 4.
All right, let's fly through these. Washington football team at the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta at home, plus a 1.5.
I know Washington's defense and linebacker secondary shaky, but still give me Washington in this one.
I'll go with you there. I think the defense plays the key part in this finally. Give me Washington laying the 1.5 on the road against the Falcons. Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. It's going to be Foles or Dalton, right? Bears laying 2.5 at home against Detroit.
Regardless of the quarterback, I'm going to go with the Lions in this one.
I'll go with the Bears at home to cover that 2.5. Tennessee Titans on the road against the New York Jets. The Jets only plus 7.
Yeah, give me the Titans.
Yeah, give me the Titans in this one as too. I'll lay the 7 on the road. That's a big number for them on the road, but I think they'll be fine. The Browns on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. Are they going to be another team to hit their third win? Browns -2 on the road against the Vikings.
I know Dalvin Cook's going to come back. Give me the Browns.
I'll take the Vikings in an upset here. So give me +2 on that. Colts on the road at Miami. The Dolphins laying 2 against the Colts.
Man, Brissett's starting for Miami. You know what? Give me Miami in this one.
Give me Miami big on this one, too. And take the over on this one. The over-under is 42.5 on this one. So take Miami, lay the 2, and take the over 42.5 on this one. Carolina Panthers on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys laying 4. A little peculiar number there.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's off to a good start, but no McCaffrey, no J.C. Horn. Give me the Cowboys.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys win, but I think the Cowboys win by 3. So give me the Carolina Panthers plus the 4 points in this. New York Giants on the road against the Saints. The Saints laying 7 at home against the G-Men.
Yeah, going with the Saints on this one. Pretty easy one, I think.
All right, give me the Saints, lay the 7. I'm with you. Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Eagles. Chiefs laying 7 on the road. Another touchdown road favorite.
Yeah, it's a big line. I'm still waiting for Casey to break out. Thought it was going to happen last week. It did not. I think this is going to be the week here. Give me the Chiefs. I'm
with you. Give me the Chiefs. Big number here. Lay the 7. Houston Texans on the road against the Buffalo Bills. Big. You want to talk about big numbers? Bills -17 at home.
Ooh, it's one of the biggest lines in forever. That's a huge line. I know Buffalo's going to win this game, but I'll say the Texans cover. Garbage time points.
Ooh, give me the Bills to just annihilate them. I'll lay the 17. I shouldn't, but I will.
Yeah, they're going to backdoor you. The Texans are going to score some garbage time for 30-second touchdowns.
You're probably right. You have a backup quarterback in there for the Bills, throw pick 6 or something.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be like a SVP, Sports Center, bad beats situation.
You're scaring me. Give me the Texans plus 17.
Oh, I convinced you. Bill's going to win this 50-0.
Give me the Texans plus 17.
Right.
You scared me right out of that one. Cardinals on the road. This should be a good game against the Rams. Rams laying 4 at home. Did you get a chance to look at that Rams tape?
No, you're scaring me to watch it. I don't want to I'm going to become a Rams fan after I watch it. So no, I haven't seen it. Yes, I mean, I'm really impressed with both teams here. Which defense is going to step up in this one? I have a little more faith in the Rams defense than the Cardinals, but it'll be a good one. I'll say it's a field goal game, though, so I guess I'm going to go with Arizona in this one.
All right, I'll take the Rams to cover that 4. Seattle Seahawks on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers favored by 3. This should be a good game. 3 at home, 49ers favored over the Seahawks.
I just think Seattle has more firepower offensively. I mean, yeah, I'm taking Seattle.
I'm going to take Seattle too. I'd take Seattle on straight up on the money line too, and over/under's 52 on this. I would even take the over on this. So if you want, go to my bookie. You want a 3-team parlay to take here. Take the Seahawks plus 3 on the money line and take the over 52 there. Let's see how I do on that one there. Baltimore Ravens on the road against the Denver Broncos. Broncos are only a point road favorite here.
Yeah, Broncos are 3-0, but it's the question of who have they beaten. They've beaten the Giants, the Jets, and I forget the third team, but it wasn't an impressive club. Maybe Houston? I'm not sure. I'm taking Baltimore.
I'm going to take Baltimore lay the 1 as well, too, on the road there. Tampa Bay on the we teased this game already. Buccaneers on the road against the Patriots. Buccaneers, Tom Brady returns to Gillette Stadium. Buccaneers favored by 7.
Is this a Sunday night game? What's the
yep.
Okay.
And this has push written all over it.
I'm taking the Bucs. Brady's going to annihilate the Patriots. I mean, you know how bad he wants this one.
I'm with you. I'll take the Buccaneers late to 7, but don't be surprised if this ends up pushing. Raiders on Monday night, right? At the Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 3 in this game over the Raiders.
This will be a good game for sure.
There's
Raiders
run
game.
Rat in here somewhere, but
yeah, I don't know which way to go in this one. I'm going to go with the Chargers.
I'll take the Raiders plus the 3. A Raiders win outright on the road there. That brings us all the way back around to the Steelers hosting the Green Bay Packers, the Packers hosting the Steelers at Lambeau Field. I don't think this one has moved too much throughout the week here. Packers 6.5 favorites at home against the Steelers. What you got?
Steelers defense may keep the score down a little bit, but Pittsburgh's going to have to score points to win this one. I just don't see it happening. I don't see the running game getting on track enough in this one to slow down Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to have their successes on offense. So I have Green Bay winning this one 27-17. But listen, I'm 0-3 so far picking Steelers games this year, so maybe I'm not the guy to listen to. I'll be happy to be wrong about this one, but Packers win by 10.
Neither one of us have done well on this. So maybe we get another option. Where would this rank? How would this, if they beat the Packers at Lambeau Field and Aaron Rodgers, where would it rank in relation to what they did in Week 1? Does it matter how they did it? Because I envision it being the same kind of how if they do beat the Packers as it was in Week 1 against Buffalo. So I guess what I'm saying is, would it trump the Bills win, or does it matter the how it happened?
Well, I'm just happy to get the win no matter what. But I think if it was the same kind of thing, then you'd still have the same deep-rooted problem of offensive struggles, and they're eventually going to catch up to you. You're not going to win a lot of games doing that way. So I don't know. I mean, I'll just be happy to get the victory, and it would be a crazy start to the year to beat the Bills and the Packers, but lose to the Bengals and the Raiders, and that's how you're 2-2. So we'll cross that bridge hopefully when we come to it.
The only way I see this happening is a couple of turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Clark gets clubbed with a candlestick in the conservatory. I mean, I don't have much optimism at all and probably less optimism than even in week one. Now, I was wrong in week one. The Steelers overcame that. I think you're going to need some special teams. I think you need a Ray McLeod big play, touchdown in this, a defensive touchdown. I don't know, but I don't have a lot of confidence in the Steelers winning this game, nor did I have the Steelers covering this game either. So I have the Packers 24-17. The Steelers get some sort of late score in there to even make this a touchdown game. But I still have the Packers covering 24-17 in this one.
All right, so we shall see if we can get our first win of the year ourselves. But again, happy to be wrong about this one.
All right, shall we get to the emails?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's see here. We'll start with Brandon. He says, thank you. Thank you for not creating stuff for clicks. I hate that crap. It's garbage.
Well, you're welcome, Brandon. We try our best. I mean, it's always a fine line to walk. You want people to come to the site, obviously, but you don't want to be the hacky, clickbaity. The Steelers should go sign these 5 players and trade for these 5 others. We hate that kind of stuff. And when we do talk about it, we try to be very informed and specific about those kinds of things. So thank you, Brandon.
And we have a lot of little side conversations, really, before a lot of us even, not as probably as much as probably many people think, but what did this mean or what did that mean, and kind of that kind of stuff. So look. Hopefully people come to Steelers Depot because of the quality of content, because we objectively look at things. And Matthew Marksy's done this a long time. Alex has done this for a long time. We try to look at it, and the guys that we brought on, Josh Carney's been with us a long time now. They get the kind of the voice of the site there. We try to look at everything at both sides of it. And if we feel the Steelers side needs to be protected more, we do that. If we think that some people are just throwing crap out there, we try to identify that as well too. So Brandon, it goes back to just us talking earlier in this podcast about the Jerry Dulac report and Finney. That's the way we try to attack these things here. Appreciate the email there. And let's move on down to Chandler Stroud. Writes in, Jerry Dulac has lost it. Chandler Stroud here, fellas, and good morning, guys, on this beautiful Friday. Thanks, as always, for the best content in the game. Listen, as eager as I was to start this email with a tinfoil hat segment on the quarterback position, I've got to bring up Jerry Dulac's absolutely asinine comments about if there be such moves made on the offensive line, that it be at the expense of Kevin Dotson. It just baffles me, and I think you guys would agree that a large part of the time Dotson is the best performer on the unit. Please help me argue this statement, and also please verify that Chooks is by far the weakest link in the starting unit. Thanks again for your guys' great content. And here's the 2-2, hopefully an up-and-coming victory Monday. I think you know how we feel about Finney versus Dotson. Is Chooks the weakest link in this starting unit, Alex?
No, I would agree that Kendrick Green has been the weakest player so far. Not to absolve the other guys. No one's been good or good enough, but I would say Green's the weakest guy.
I would agree. Let's move down to Colin Finnegan. Uncle Dave and Cousin Alex, on a slightly lighter note from this train wreck of the start of the season, what do you guys think of Cameron Hayward's Hall of Fame chances? As a defensive tackle, it's a steep climb, but he's got 3 All-Pros, and we know he was never respected the way he deserved because of his defensive end designation. I still think he's maybe another All-Pro and a couple of Pro Bowls away, but he's been one of the best interior defensive linemen for the past decade or so, and I think he's close and could make it. What say Yins?
Man, I would love to see it. I think there's more merit than what will actually materialize for him at the end of his career. I think his odds are pretty slim. I think he deserves at least some fair consideration, because I agree with everything you said there, Colin. But I just think the stats aren't going to be quite as gaudy enough in a world of the Aaron Donalds and the real athletic 3-techs of the world. They're going to have massive sack numbers. He's always going to be overshadowed a bit. It's a little that Hines Ward-ish thing where it's just, the numbers aren't quite as good compared to other guys, even though the play is as good as anybody in football.
Man, when you watch him play on a game-by-game basis and see the stuff that he does in a vacuum, you think, man, how can he not be? But you hit on a good aspect of that in today's Aaron Donald-driven world, and unfortunately, the sacks, the overall, it's a sack world, right? And he's got a lot of them, but is it going to be enough? And how many more years does he have, Alex? 2?
I mean, the way he's playing, I feel like he can play forever. But yeah, I mean, let's call it 2 to 3. He finishes his career with, say, 70 to 75 sacks, maybe somewhere in there. Make another Pro Bowl, so it'll be like a 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 70 sacks. It's a really strong resume, but I don't think it's enough to actually get you in the can.
I mean, he's still got a fighting chance here, but it's hard to say that it's going to happen, Colin. I mean, it really is. Do you like his chances better than Hines Ward from where we sit right now?
Yes, just because I think Ward's chances are kind of already revealed themselves. Like, it's not going to happen for Hines Ward, but I don't think Hayward is terribly likely to even become a finalist or something like that.
Do you like his chances better than Marquise Pouncey?
No, I like Pouncey's chances a lot more, just from a resume standpoint, because the Pro Bowl is when people look at offensive line stuff. That's the stuff I look towards.
All right, Simon Short writes in, Dave and Alex, happy Friday. Something Alex said on the pods this week got me thinking about the Steelers' recent offensive coordinator history. Alex mentioned we've run into the same issue of route independence with the last 3 OCs. That translates to me that the offenses have been less than stellar, interesting for the bulk of the last 10 years. Does this have something to do with Tomlin's background in defense and maybe not hiring the right coordinator? Did we maybe just get lucky with the Arians since he was in-house, then suffer a major drop-off after since it's not Tomlin's area of expertise? He says he's not hating on Tomlin at all. Love the guy as a person, and the coach is trying to figure out why the wheels keep spinning the same way despite 3 different OCs.
Yeah, it's a good question. Maybe it's a bias thing, honestly, too, but I do feel like there's merit to the points that I've made. I think maybe one issue is the in-house hires when everyone's coming in-house repeatedly, when it's all promotions. Sometimes maybe you don't have these new, fresh set of ideas, and you still kind of carry over some of the stuff that was done in the past because you know what kind of people liked and how things worked, and you don't get that real different feel and tone in the room. That might be one issue that explains that, but I don't have a great reason for that.
I tell you what, this offense is missing big play capability, whether it be extended play from one Ben Roethlisberger or crap speed down the field. Definitely missing that, and the fact that this team hasn't had any semblance of a running game since. I mean, it's been a while. That hurts a quarterback that doesn't make as many extended plays or throwing the football down the field to players with crap speed, if that makes sense.
No,
I was a huge, back in the day, Alex, I was a huge Bruce Arians fan. Now, yeah, that Ben took a lot of hits, no risk it, no biscuit, but that guy, that guy could route combo some things up.
Yeah, I mean, it was more of a vertical attack. I don't know if that would be good for Ben right now.
No, but it wouldn't.
I think from a scheme standpoint, you're right.
All right. Let's see. I think we answered that fairly enough. The 188 writes in, hey, guys, it's Bryce. 2 questions for you. It hasn't happened that often to assistants in the Tomlin era, but could you see a scenario where Canada is one and done as a coordinator? Not saying I'm calling for that. I'm just curious to get your thoughts. Number 2, right now, who has been the Steelers' best offensive lineman so far this season? Explain your choice. I would be surprised if Canada is one and done, quite honestly, because of what he's having to deal with there. That would be my answer to that. Number 2, the best offensive lineman so far this season, Trey Turner?
That's a hard question to answer. I don't know.
I mean, and I explain my choice. I would have a hard time doing that because it's been because of the way I phrased my answer. Trey Turner.
With a grunt at the end. Yeah, I mean, Turner in the run game's been, I guess, okay, but no one's been good, obviously. And in pass pro, I think he's had some issues one-on-one. I want to say Dotson, but some of the stunt pickups been pretty poor with him. I don't know. Make me choose. I'll say Dotson.
It's Dotson or Turner.
Yeah, I mean Dan Moore. I guess he's not been a disaster, but he's not been that great in either facet. I'm gonna go Dotson, and then on Canada, I think he comes back. Usually that's the Steelers' MO, but it usually depends on this contract situation too. But I assume he's still under contract through next season.
I would assume they gave him a 2-year deal. Don't they usually do that? But
that's a 3. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't know if he got a new contract when he got promoted to OC because obviously he's getting paid more money. So I don't know how they did it.
All right, let's see if we can get maybe one more out of this, if there is one here. Jim Bendis. Jim's a longtime follower, listener. Offense confusion. I was listening to Jerry Dulac on In the Locker Room show this morning, and he wrote this 22 hours ago, Jim did, regarding the infamous fourth down play. From listening to Jerry and what he said, I came away with there is a whole bunch of confusion on the Matt Canada offense, that there are guys in the end zone that Ben was supposed to throw to, but the call was to Harris. It's not clear that the right call was used, that this is an example that Matt Canada offense has not settled in and causing confusion with the players. Since you guys had the end zone video on this play and the offense in general, what are your opinions? Hopefully we made that pretty clear at the start, but we're not really sure.
Yeah. We're just as confused. And I think it's a good point. I think it's a valid point, and I don't know what to make of the situation. They're contradicting themselves in the comments that they're making. I mean, I think that much is inarguable at this point.
Yeah, most definitely there. I don't think we're ever. Is Matt? How much is Matt Canada the problem with this? All of this.
Well, I think it's been dealt a pretty tough. What's the saying? Tough deck of cards. Something, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But I think he's not helping.
The deck of cards that he's been dealt is not fair.
Yeah, difficult hand he's been dealt was the
there you go.
Phrase my brain short-circuiting on. I mean, he's not doing anything to elevate this group either. I think there's a lot that he can do, and I think, again, the schematic game plan of trying to go heavy last week against the Bengals and running into a brick wall that they knew they were going to run into is just dumb, and that's 100% on him. I don't blame the players one bit for that. So, again, it kind of goes back to the idea of coaching isn't elevating the players, and the players aren't elevating the poor coaching.
Nicholas Gooden, one last one here. Quick one for you. How do you compare Joe Haeg versus Zach Banner? You guys often say you think Haeg may be the better short-term option over Chooks. Maybe Tomlin agrees, ? You guys have said you think Haeg is a better run blocker. How does that stack up versus Banner? Is Banner to left tackle and Haeg to right tackle possible, or is Dan Moore the guy at this point of the season? As always, keep up the great work. Enjoy making Yins a part of my week. Well, Nick, we appreciate that. We appreciate you making us part of your week there. You got so much invested in Dan Moore at left tackle now, and the fact that he's played well enough, I don't see how you mess with that end of it there for starters. So that leads us to Haeg versus Banner versus Chooks. We have more tape on Haeg overall at right tackle than we do Banner. And Haeg is a better run blocker, at least on the tape that's out there. But there is some upside to be believed to be had with Banner as not only a run blocker, but as a pass protector, if that makes sense. But there's a lot of projection in there with Banner still because of he hasn't played a lot of snaps at tackle at the NFL level.
Yeah, short answer is I don't see Haeg or Banner moving to left tackle. If someone did, it would be Haeg. Banner's can sort of play left tackle, but he's really a right tackle almost exclusively at this point in his career. When Banner's healthy enough to play, he's going to start. They paid him a decent amount of money. They're not going to pay him to be the backup. So they're going to play him and see what they have in him. I think they're comparable run blockers. I'm not quite sure who's better because, as Dave said, the sample size on Banner's pretty small. I would probably give the edge to Banner overall just because he's a bigger dude. Hopefully a little bit better in pass pro, though, because he has the length to kind of seal the edge a little bit better than Joe Haeg would.
There's more unknown upside with Banner right now than there is. We know what the ceiling is on Haeg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you'd be going in with it with, okay, we've been thinking that Banner might be a starting NFL tackle in the right, or a starting right tackle in the NFL. We just haven't been able to get to that point to see it on any stretch. So here's the stretch.
Yeah, I think the good question is, though, let's assume Banner becomes the right tackle this week or next, and then whenever Chooks gets cleared, who becomes the left tackle? Do they stick with Dan Moore, or does Chooks move back over to left tackle?
Things aren't going well for Chukwuma Okorafor, period. And he's contract year. Things are not going well as Chukwuma Okorafor hoped they would go. I mean, remember, we thought going into this offseason that Chukwuma Okorafor was going to be your starting left tackle.
And he probably thought that, too.
And he probably thought that for a long time, too. Right. And here we are talking about, man, Chukwuma Okorafor is a concussion inactive list away from being on the sideline quite a bit.
Yeah, but whenever Chooks gets cleared, who plays left tackle? I mean, are you saying that Dan Moore is going to stay left tackle?
I think Dan Moore's probably going to stay unless it gets super ugly. I really do.
Yeah, that's kind of where I lean, but I don't know.
I mean, it would have to get train wreckish bad, I think. And who's the quarterback at that point if it gets train wreckish bad?
Yeah, I think I wrestle with that question more than I wrestle with like the Banner Hague stuff. When Banner's healthy and cleared to play, he's going to start. What
does this team need in a draft right now, Alex, other than and not having any capital right now? Do you get in? I know we're running a little long here. Is there any? Does this become a fire sale situation here fairly soon where you say, all right, James, we can get a fifth for you here, James Washington, or get a six for you. See you later. Does it? And the Steelers are never that team. They're never the team that trades away players in season.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at that. If it gets to that point and you're out of the picture by week 8, or I'm not sure if the deadline changed, did it change with a new 17th game? I guess not. So I mean, if they're at that point, then I would be in favor of it, because if your season's basically over, then get what you can get, and that's fine with me. I don't know if they would actually do it. My guess is they probably would not do it, but yeah, I mean, this team needs a lot. They still got to add pieces to the offensive line. Probably another guard coming. To start, probably a right guard, assuming the Turner's done after this season. That's probably the first thing that comes to mind. And, of course, a quarterback as well. Assuming the Ben retires, I don't think Rudolph nor Haskins are the answer. Hopefully the team feels the same way. And so that brings you back to, nothing else matters until you find your next franchise quarterback.
And they haven't, and with them skipping the wide receiver in the draft this past year, they're going to be back in the wide receiver market, right? So you got to know they're going to draft a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Washington's gone in one way or another. Juju, we'll see what happens with him. Yeah, I mean, then Deontay will go into the last year of his rookie deal next season. Is that his last year of his rookie contract? Right? Yeah.
This is number 3 for him, right?
Yeah. So 2022 will be his last year. So yeah, I mean, they're going to draft a receiver. I believe so.
Romeo Doubs.
God, I had to get the Nevada talking.
All right, Alex. We will talk about win, lose, or draw on Monday about these Pittsburgh Steelers. Hopefully you and I are talking about what is the narrative. I mean, it'd be a good problem to have, I guess, what the narrative will be if the Steelers somehow, no matter how they do it, end up coming out of week 4 as a 2-2 football team. I guess that would be a good problem to have. We'll probably get more listeners on that show as well, too. But in the meantime, unless you have anything else to add, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and you want to donate to the cause, please go to SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button up right navigational bar. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, please go to SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button for $25. For one calendar year, you can have an ad-free version of the site. A lot of great content up on the site today, right? Alex previews offense, defense of the Steelers game against the Packers. A lot of good tape in there. Good job by you, Tom Mead, Josh Carney. Just absolutely fantastic content up there on the site today. We invite everybody to check that out, and more on the way on Saturday and on into Sunday morning as well, too. And as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.